be doing a makeup tutorial for you on this classic bridal makeup. So I've been wanting to do this video for such a long time. I think pretty much ever since I've started YouTube, I've always visioned doing a bridal makeup tutorial, and I just absolutely love this look. It's such a classic, simple, natural-ish bridal makeup look. This is something really similar to what I wore on my wedding day. However, I did amp it up a little bit because I do like to wear a little bit more makeup than the average person, but that is just my style. But there's no like wrong or right when it comes to bridal makeup and makeup in general. It's how you feel in yourself and what portrays your personality and how confident you feel wearing it. So if you guys want to rock a winged eyeliner and a red lip on your wedding day, be my guest. Who am I to sit here and judge? And whatever makeup is going to make you look and feel special and confident on your wedding day, that is what you should go for. So guys, I really hope that you enjoy this video. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you here as a subscriber. So don't forget to click the link right here and it will notify you of all of my upcoming videos. I post every Thursdays and Sundays. So again guys, if you want to see how I got this bridal makeup look, then just keep watching. To start off this makeup look, I'm going to make sure my skin is really nice and clean. So I did wash it and toned as well. And now I'm just going to use a moisturiser and a serum. I really like to use the Embroylisse Elixir Eclat for a serum. This kind of like really puffs up the skin and smooths it out as well. And then you can go in with any moisturiser of your choice, again that's going to be relevant to your skin type. But the one that I really like for myself is the Kheils Ultra Facial Oil Free Moisturiser. This is really nice if you have oily skin like I do. And again, when you have like a bridal makeup, you want to make sure that there's no oils that are coming through throughout the day. So I'm just going to be using a little bit of this first and then topping it off with a moisturiser. So now moving on to primers. So two primers that I really like to use for bridal looks in particular is a Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. These come in like different varieties. This one is a light version. I also like the normal one. I like the bronzy one as well. I think that looks really nice for bridal looks. And just think it creates a really nice canvas before you apply your foundation and really helps with the longevity of your foundation as well. And then another primer that I really like to use is this one by L'Oreal. This is the Lumi Magique. This is a really nice iridescent pearly primer and it's going to create a nice sort of dewy, luminous look to the skin. So I'm just going to be mixing them two in together and putting that all over the face. I'm going to start off by priming the eyelids first, and this one is the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. I use this religiously on myself and on my clients as well. I think it's a really good base for your eyeshadow and it just counteracts any discoloration and also prevents your eyeshadow from creasing as well. And you can see just how much that's covered up any discoloration and also redness, because I get quite a lot of redness on my eyelids, which is really annoying. So now I'd just like to set that soft ochre paint pot into place by using like a skin toned eyeshadow. So the one that I'm using is by Makeup Geek and this is in the colour Vanilla Bean. So by doing this, it's just going to make sure that when you go in to blend any further eyeshadows that it's not going to drag on the eyelid and it's just going to blend nice and seamlessly into one another. So now moving on to eyeshadows, and I like to keep it really nice and simple and natural and using neutral colours as well. Again, everyone has their own preference when it comes to eyeshadows and there is no rule when it comes to makeup, so whatever works for you and what you like. But when I do like a classic bridal makeup on clients, I just like to use the most natural looking eyeshadows. So I'm going to start off with a transitional shade. I think this is really important because it's just going to make sure that you've got a nice base underneath, so when you start blending any further crease colours, it's just all going to blend in nicely together. So you can probably guess what eyeshadow I'm going to use as a transitional colour, and that is Makeup Geek's Peach Smoothie. I think this works really good on my skin tone and also like fairer skin tones as well. But if I did have someone with an olive complexion and a lot more darker, I would probably go for Creme Brulee, this one right here, and that one works really nicely as a transitional shade as well. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of Peach Smoothie and start buffing that into the crease. So once all that's blended through, I'm going to be picking up another eyeshadow brush. I am going to do a video showing you guys all of my favourite eyeshadow brushes that I use and also face brushes as well. But this one is by Zoeva. This is a Luxe Soft Finer. A MAC 217 is a really good one as well for the crease. So I'm just going to be taking this, and I'm also going to be using the Naked 3 palette by Urban Decay. I think this palette is really good for bridal. It's got a lot of rosy pink tones in it, and I think it just works really well on anyone's like eye colour and also skin skin tone as well. So you can see in the palette just how beautiful the colours are. You've got a mixture of shimmers, you've got a mixture of mattes in there. So first of all, I'm going to be going in with the colour Nuna, which is this one right here, and it's just a really sort of nice medium toned brown with a little bit of purple in it as well. And I'm just going to start buffing that into the crease. So don't worry too much if it starts to look a little bit sloppy, because we can go in and perfect it in a bit. But it's just about laying down that colour at first, and then we can blend it all out afterwards. And then moving on, I'm going to be taking a little bit of the Colour Factory, and I'm just going to be putting that into the outer corners of the eye as well. And this is just really sort of going to intensify the definition in the crease a lot more. So now the colours are blended through the crease, I just want to go in and clean up the lid space. So I'm going to take a little bit of the soft ochre paint pot again, and using my MAC 239 brush, I'm just going to clean up the lid and kind of cut the crease a little bit, just to make sure that it's nice and put together. So you can see the difference between this eye and that eye. This one just looks a lot more cleaner and a lot more sharper. Okay, so now moving on to lid colour. You want to pick something that has got a little bit of shimmer to it. You don't want to put any shimmer in the crease. I personally don't think that's quite a nice look. I think it's nice to have like a matte crease and a lot of shimmer on the lid, so when you sort of look down and your photos being taken, you can just see a little bit of shimmer shining through, and it looks really gorgeous and flattering. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this colour here called Dust, and it's just a really sort of nice light pink shimmery shade. And I'm just going to be focusing this mainly on the middle part of the lid and sort of blending it through to the outer edges. And I'm going to be keeping this part clear because I just want to brighten that up with a little bit of white eyeshadow afterwards. And then picking up the colour Virgin, which is this one right here, I'm just going to use that in the inner part of the lid. So now for the final touches with this eyeshadow look, I'm just going to take a little bit of this eyeshadow called Day Gleam. This is by MAC, and it's just such a beautiful shimmery shade. I use this on pretty much all of my clients. It suits anyone's skin tone, and it has got quite a little bit of glitter in it, but it's really nice and beautiful on the eyelids. So it does look quite gold in the pot, but it doesn't come out like that at all. So it just gives a really nice soft wash of colour over the lids. So I'm just going to be putting that onto the middle part of the lid. I absolutely love this eyeshadow, it's one of my favourites. Like every time I wear this, someone always says to me, what is that eyeshadow you're wearing? And it's just such a beautiful colour. I think it's so lovely for bridal looks in particular because it's not a harsh colour, so you can really get away with wearing this on the lid as a nice sort of shimmery shade. So I'm just going to go a little bit darker on the outer corner, so I'm going to pick up this shade here called Black Heart, and I'm just going to pick up a really tiny amount, and I'm going to tap off the excess. I'm just going to run that through the outer corner of the eye. So now once the eyeshadows are all blended through, I'm just going to clean up the skin just to make sure we don't have any fallout. So now moving on to eyeliner, I'm going to be taking this one by Rimmel. This is just the plain black gel eyeliner. The one that I have in my kit and that I use mainly on clients is MAC Black Track, or I do use the Inglot gel liner, and both of them I think are really good with longevity and just making sure that your eyeliner stays in place and it doesn't budge. So I'm just going to be taking a little liner brush, and I'm just going to be defining the lash line. I'm not going to be doing a wing either, I'm going to be keeping it really nice and natural. So you really want to push that liner as far up to the lash line as you can without creating too much of a thick line. So now the eyeliner is done, I'm just going to be taking a little bit of Makeup Geek's Corrupt. You can use any matte black eyeshadow that you have, and I just want to smoke out the outer corners just to make sure that it's really nice and soft. So again, I'm not going to be doing a wing, but I am going to be extending it slightly just because I think that it creates a nicer flattering shape to the eyes. So now I'm just going to add a coat of mascara, and you want to make sure that you use a waterproof mascara just in case you have a few tears. So now we've got a good coat of mascara on, I'm going to be moving on to false eyelashes. Now I love to use individual false eyelashes for brides because I think they look the most natural and you can build up the intensity with them as well. So if there's someone that's not used to wearing false eyelashes and again wants more of a natural look, you can just put a few on the outer corners just to sort of help lift up the eye and add a little bit more definition. And again, you can go pretty dramatic with these if you wanted to. So I tend to keep the most amount of eyelashes on the outer corners and then just build it through. But the ones that I use are just from Salon Services. These are like the individual lashes. I always use the short ones and also the medium if someone has extra long eyelashes. I never use the long ones just because I think they look the most false. They don't look natural because they are really, really long. But these ones are just really nice, creating a nice, simple, natural lash. So if you guys didn't want to use individual lashes because they are very fiddly to put on and they are very time consuming as well, you could just go in with the most natural pair of eyelashes. The ones that I love are the Ardell Demi Wispies. Also the Ardell Wispies are lovely as well. So the ones that I'm going to use today are by Foxy and these are the style Flirty lashes, and they're just really nice and natural. So now the eyes are done, I'm going to move on to the face. So now I've had enough time for all the primers and the foundations to like sink into the skin, I'm going to move on to foundation. Now it's really important to find the right foundation for you. You want to make sure that it's going to wear nicely throughout the day and it's also suitable for your skin type as well. I'm oily combination, so I like to find something that's going to wear nicely throughout the day and prevents my oils from coming through. It's also really important that you try and find a foundation that has little or no SPF in it, because SPF is going to create a really harsh flashback when it comes to flash photography, and that's not a nice look on a wedding day. So you really want to make sure that you get the foundation perfect. So the foundations that I love to use on clients is the Bobbi Brown stick foundation. That one has like no SPF in it and I think it's really nice. You can really build that foundation up as well and it looks nice on most skin tones. It actually works really well on mature skin as well. So if you're like mother of the bride or mother of the groom, you would absolutely love that foundation because it's really nice and creamy in consistency. It also works really well on most skin types. I would say if you're more oily, then tend to stay away from that and go with something that's going to control the oils. So for me personally, I love to use the Makeup Forever HD stick. So I do love the Makeup Forever HD liquid foundation as well, but the stick is like one of my all-time favourites for bridal, and I just think it photographs really nicely. It doesn't give a bad flashback and it just like gives a really nice flawless base to your skin. So I'm just going to swipe on 3 lines on my cheeks, 1 on my chin, 1 on my nose and 2 on my forehead. And I also like to add 1 down here as well, just because I do tend to get a little bit of discoloration and redness around there, so I feel like I need a lot more coverage in that area specifically. So I'm just going to be using this brush and I'm just going to be buffing this foundation into the skin. So now the foundation is nice and blended, and before I apply concealer I'm just going to be going in with a little bit of the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector, and I did speak about this in my video where I showed you guys how to cover up dark circles, so I'll leave the video right here if you want to go and check it out. So now moving on to concealers, and one of my holy grail concealers is the MAC Pro Longwear. I use this on the majority of my clients just because it gives a really nice coverage. It covers up dark circles, any imperfections on your face, and it also doesn't crease. So I'm just going to be going in a triangle shape underneath the eyes. So I'm going to bring this concealer quite far down and around my nose because that is where I get the most discoloration on my face. So now I'm just going to be setting that concealer into place, and I like to use the Ben Nye Neutral Set. So I just like to add a little bit of this to my beauty blender. I also feel like with the dampness from the beauty blender it helps sink in the powder a little bit better. So I'm just going to add a little bit and set that into place. Use a little bit of this powder on the places where you tend to get the most oily. So for me, I always like to set my chin, my nose and a little bit on the front of my forehead as well. So now moving on to highlighting, I like to use cream based highlighters because again, I think they look the most natural. You can use powders if you want to, again there's no rules when it comes to makeup, so whatever suits you. But I think to give that natural glow, it's really nice to use cream based products. So I'm going to be using this one by Clinique. This is their Chubby Stick and this is in the colour Hefty Highlight. So I'm just going to add a little bit onto my ring finger and just start tapping that into the high points of the cheekbones. And again, I don't really like to use this neat onto the skin because I feel like when you do that, sometimes it can wipe away a little bit of the foundation and it starts to look a little bit messy. But I think patting it into the skin is sort of patting over that foundation and blending the two together. You can also use a little bit of this highlighter on the tip of the nose and also the cupid's bow as well. So now at this point I like to add a little bit more definition to the face. So the products that I absolutely swear by, and I use it on myself, I use it on clients, is the Chanel Tan de Soleil. This is a cream based bronzer. It's just such a beautiful product to use if you want to create a nice subtle definition to your face. So I like to use a flat brush, and with a little bit of this product I just like to add some contour. So I'm just going to be going on the sides of my forehead and also my cheekbones and my jawline. So now I just like to go back in with a beauty blender and blend that all through. So now that's blended through, I'm going to be moving on and setting that and also intensifying the bronziness a little bit further. So I'm going to be taking this Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette. This is such a beautiful palette for creating really nice glowy looks to the skin. It's just got the right amount of the shimmer in it, so you can use it all over as a face powder and it's not going to look too highlighted. It just gives a really nice soft dewy look to the skin. So I have run out of this shade right here, which I believe is Incandescent Light, which is perfect for my skin tone, but I really like to use the darkest one here called Dim Light, just to go over the contour and just sort of bronze it up slightly more and add a little bit of shimmer to it as well. So now moving on to blusher. One of my all-time favourite blushers for bridal looks is the Milani blusher in the colour Luminoso. I just think it's such a beautiful peachy pink blush and it complements so many people's skin tones. So I'm just going to add a little bit on to my cheekbones and blend that back towards the hairline. I also want to add a tiny amount, literally what is left on the brush, onto the apples of the cheeks and just really blend that through. So now the face is pretty much done, I'm going to be moving on and doing my eyebrows. Again, if you guys are blessed with good eyebrows, I would just use a light dusting of brow powder just to sort of fill in any sparse areas, and also brow gel is like a plus because that way it's going to make sure that your brows stay in place and they look a little bit more groomed. But for me, as you can see, I need quite a lot of help in that department, so I'm going to be going in and doing my normal eyebrow routine and then I'll be right back. So now the eyebrows are done, I'm going to move on and finish the rest of the eyes. So I'm going to be taking the colour Nuna again from the Urban Decay and Naked 3 palette, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this to the lower lash line. And then picking up the colour Factory again, I'm just going to add a little bit of that to the outer corners of the eye as well. And it's so important to add some eyeshadow to the lower lash line because it balances the whole eye look out, because if you don't have anything on the lower lash line, it can look a little bit too top heavy and a little bit naked underneath, and I don't really like that. I think that everything needs to be sort of balanced out. So if you just add a little bit of eyeshadow underneath, you can see how much that opens up the eye and just balances everything out. So it's totally your preference if you want to add a little bit of black eyeliner into your waterline. I tend to skip this step with most brides just because I think that it opens up your eye a lot more if you don't add any black eyeliner. But what I do like to do, just to add a little bit more definition, is take this flat definer brush and with a little bit of that black eyeshadow that I used from Makeup Geek earlier, I'm just going to be pushing that quite far up against the lower lash line, and that way it's just going to balance everything out and add a little bit more definition. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of mascara to my lower lashes. So now for the finishing touches, I'm going to be going in with a little bit of highlighter. This one is the Merry Luminizer by The Balm, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that to the inner corners of the eye and also a little bit to the brow bone as well. So before I move on to the lips, I'm going to be taking a little bit of MAC Fix Plus again, and I'm just going to be spritzing my face just to set and lock my makeup into place. So now moving on to lips, I'm going to be lining my lips with MAC Strip Down. It's one of my favourite lip liners for creating a nice nude lip. You want to either go in with a pinky nude or a peachy nude or something with a little bit of colour in it, because that way it's going to lift up the makeup look, and also in photography it can dilute makeup quite a bit, so you just want to make sure that you go in with a stronger colour just to make sure that it comes through on the photos. So now moving on to lipsticks. Two of my favourite lipsticks to use for bridal is MAC Honeylove and MAC Blankety. Both of them are beautiful. So I'm actually going to be mixing two of these together today. So I'm just going to be taking Honeylove first, which is a matte formula, and I'm just going to be putting that on the lips. Now Honeylove is more on the nude side and Blankety is more on the pinky side, and this one is an amplified lipstick, so it's more of a creamy finish, so it's going to go really nicely on top of that matte formula. So guys, that completes this video. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you here as a subscriber, so don't forget to click the link right here and it will notify you of all of my upcoming videos, and I will see you all again soon. Bye!